So do people even still read the Dr. Dolittle books? Like, I'm sure they've got old school fans and retro fandom and a certain degree of novelty, and obviously everyone has heard of the premise because it's been adapted so many times before, but like the last time anyone tried to really do that with anything but the name was the 60s musical, and that was such a torture to sit through, it single-handedly killed the whole roadshow genre all but completely. And I can't imagine like actual children still regularly reading or having read to them the original books with any regularity, since once you get past the cute talking animal premise, you're mostly left with a lot, and I mean like a lot of old-timey racism. Like, I'm not trying to kick the shit out of anyone's great-grandma's favorite kids book here, but there's a reason the only successful version of this, produced in modern times, just kept the title and said, you know what, let's just have Eddie Murphy do jokes with animals, that'll be funny enough. But you can kind of see why they thought it was a good idea to try again now, or rather, try again several years ago, because they started making this thing a while back. Went through a couple different directors, several near-total reshoots and rewrites, and a ton of new effects work trying to get something releasable, only to finally dump it here in January, so guess how good it is. But yeah, the logic of, hey, here's an old-timey kids book character who adventures around on a boat with a bunch of animals and acts all wacky. Let's get a popular actor who's down for mugging the shit out of every scene and knows how to jump around on green screens, give him a funny hat to play with, and fill out the cast with celebrity-voiced CGI animals for comedy sidekicks. Yeah, sure, if I was greenlighting movies a few years back when the whole Johnny Depp pirate thing hadn't totally run out of gas yet, and someone said we could get Iron Man to do it, I probably would have said yes to this too. So I guess I hope whoever's call this was failed upward into something they like, but this really sucks. Though, I mean, I'm trying not to be mean because it's not like offensively bad, and there's the spark of some mild inspiration peeking through the cracks, and you know, I honestly don't like being Mr. Negative all the time, and do you really want to pour a bunch of hate out on a movie, even a bad one that doesn't aspire to that much beyond, hey kids, look, animals, aren't they something? See, they're doing things and telling jokes, but this really, really sucks in the way that only films where something clearly went very wrong early in production can suck, and it's too late to stop the machine, so they just kept throwing good money after bad until it could lumber into theaters and justify having been invested in the first place, and now it's my job to watch the goddamn thing. To get it out of the way, the plot sort of returns to the original books, with Dr. John Dolittle MD as an animal-loving, multilingual surgeon and early Victorian British adventurer who in this version shuts himself away from the human world in mourning for the loss of his wife, because of course that's the origin we're going with here. He gets summoned back into service by the Dane of young Queen Victoria herself, who's dying of a mysterious illness, and wouldn't you just know it, can only be cured by the magical antidote of a rare, possibly non-existent tree, the island home of which was the destination that the late Mrs. Dolittle had perished on a treacherous voyage to discover. Dolittle and a crew of animal sidekicks set out to complete the mission, pursued by Michael Sheen as the Paul Freeman character from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Fill in the blanks yourself. Here's the thing, even if having undergone massive reshoots hadn't become public knowledge back before it was delayed nearly 2 years, the telltale signs are all there. The action sequences happen without much reason or logic, there's no connection between the types of action we're seeing. Sometimes it's chaotic slapstick, other times they're doing the Gore Verbinski Pirates, Rube Goldberg connected sight gag thing. The animal voice acting cuts back and forth between anachronistic cuteness and present day slang, like they're literally reading lines randomly from 2 different versions of the script, because they probably were. I mean, you know your movie's in trouble when your big hero saves the day by understanding and achieving the completion of his character journey sequence, is attempting to be at once a meaningful moment about a non-violent resolution, an introspective revelation for the main character, a giant monster action sequence, a symbolic visualization of mutual aid and understanding between different cultures and species, and an extended minutes-long fart joke. I mean, it can't even keep straight if our POV character is Dolittle himself, a wise parrot who more or less nudges the story into being and tells it to us, or a young boy who tags along because other reason. And as a result, our ostensible protagonist is constantly changing as though, well, they reshot the movie a bunch of times with totally different tones and focus and Frankensteined it together after the fact. Sometimes Dolittle is an eccentric depressive who needs to reconnect with humanity, other times he's got his shit all figured out and humanity is the problems. Still other times they're doing the Willy Wonka thing where he only seems to be an impish weirdo, but he's actually slick and playing everyone. The only consistent thing is that Robert Downey Jr. is officially powerful enough as a top-billed star that when he decided to start doing this accent as Dolittle, nobody was able to stop him. 3 out of 10. I'm not gonna say it made me wish he'd done another Sherlock Holmes instead, but I got close. Oh God, no, please don't do another Sherlock Holmes!